Would you watch a show where a billionaire CEO has to go an entire month on their lowest paid employee's salary without access to any other resources than that of the employee? What do you think would happen? I doubt a month is enough to really feel the effect, and a camera team changes everything. I won't trust doing business with a random nobody, but a guy in suit with the whole production team following him? That's a different story. That's why reality shows are intrinsically just shows. It would be incredibly self-serving and boring. They would never truly experience what it is like to be in the precarious position of a minimum wage employee living hand to mouth, and the novelty is just salt in the wound. It would be more interesting to see the reverse. There was this similar themed show in Hong Kong and mainland China years ago. They swapped billionaire with bottom feeders. Let the rich do the basic job on the lowest salary to see how far the rich could go by purely their own effort. Nearly all of the billionaire admitted that they could not make anywhere, regardless of how hard they worked. Even working without sleeping and resting could not give you any accumulation to help climb up to the higher level of the society. There was only despair and admission that the divide between the poor and the rich is already a deep valley, and mere personal effort makes little sense. It stirred big debate among the society back then, and I think that was part of the reasons the show got cancelled. There was also another show in China, swapping senior political figures with community level council workers to see how good they could do in each other's posts. The mayors were flooded by the angry mobs who kept asking for more and more benefits that were impossible to fulfill. By the end, had to admit the amount of work at basic community level was too much to achieve anywhere. The show also got cancelled quite soon after a few episodes. 3 months minimum, and I'd watch it. Thanks for the gold. With problem scenarios thrown in. Broken down car tube strike, dodgy boiler, sick child, the wheels would come off pretty quickly. I love reality shows, so I'd watch it depending on who produces it. If it's too fake, with too many emotional moments, advertising and people shouting, I'm out. X Factor singer, I can't sing, but my granny died an hour ago and told me to follow my dream. Hosts, you son of a bitch. Imin. It's more than just the money. It's the lack of security these people endure. Not knowing if you'll lose your job tomorrow and having no savings. Being kicked out of your home. An unexpected bill you can't afford, which may lead to increasing debt. Putting these rich people in a poor lifestyle for a month isn't enough, even if they lost their money and homes. They'll have such a huge network that they'll be back on their feet in the time it takes for us peons to earn enough to eat for a week. They can never truly understand what it's like to be poor or ever face that reality again. So what would happen? It'd be a completely self-serving advert about how now I realize that we need to do more for our employees. The workers get a small vanity bonus. Probably give an immigrant worker with limited English a car. Pat themselves on the back. Then 2 weeks later, we've all forgotten about the show and they'll go back to their old ways. Isn't this almost the same as Secret Millionaire? Do you guys have that in the US? It would be better if they had to live with their lowest salaried employee for a month or two. In their house. Dinner with the family. Travel to and from work together. Same lunch. Kids with homework. The works. Building that relation would do much more for this problem than just experiencing below your normal standard of living before returning to it. You're more likely to feel empathy for a family you know, and much less likely to forget them. Anything else would just be another show about wealthy people having a fun adventure to talk about at cocktail parties. This would be a good show. I'd watch this. Sure, they would never do that though, because then they would have to admit that they don't pay a living wage. Now, all they have to do is stick it out for a month, and then they can say from personal experience that it isn't that bad. Of course, they never have to deal with the effects in the long term. It's kind of like when privileged college students pretend to be homeless by camping out in the quad for a night. I'd do more than a month, and without any contact to rich budders either. If it's a month, I think a lot would just buy rice and beans every day and go see. It's super easy to be poor. You just need to make economical choices. I've proven myself right. longer than that, and they'll really have to get used to how their lowest paid employees live. Would they learn a lesson? Maybe. Likely not. They still have a mansion to come back home to. They'll give their lowest paid people a one-time bonus, or maybe they'll drag one out in front of a camera to give them a fancy car so their own reputation gets better, and then they won't change anything else. You should watch Undercover Billionaire on Discovery, not to be confused with Undercover Boss. Billionaire Glenn Stearns moves to Erie, PA with just $100, a truck and no contacts, and has to make a company valued at $1 million in 90 days. He also can't mention who he is to anyone. It's pretty much exactly like you are describing and insanely entertaining. They would have to swap everything down to the last detail. Apartment, car, if they even have one, wardrobe, food, hobbies, etc. And it would have to be ongoing, not just a couple months. The real question is, how to get a CEO to agree to this? Only if they also put a low-level employee in the CEO's position to highlight that it's not all golf games and getting other people to do your work. They wouldn't have any trouble. Most of them are self-made, and most have a large number of financial skills that 99% of people don't. They'd macro their finances and come out better off than most people. You think someone like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or Elon Musk couldn't handle it? Or what about Warren Buffett? The dude is already living a modest life. A lot of dumbasses in the comments seem to fail to realize that a lot of these billionaires were already in a super shitty position before and pulled themselves out of it. These people run massive corporations and charities, and you dumbasses seriously think that living your life for a few months would be a challenge? That's some cringe. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.